Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wealth Wednesday Show episode. Today, we are super excited to see you once again virtually and to be able to have a very amazing guest with us all the way from the United States of America. Her name is Kayla. She will introduce herself to us and give us more details about herself. So, as we had mentioned earlier, our topic for today will be personal financial planning. It's the end of the month as well as the beginning of the other half of the year. And it's very important for you to learn some financial planning skills so that you can achieve the goals you may not have achieved in the first half of the year. So we encourage you to press the subscribe button, turn on notification so that you can always be updated when we do such live sessions as well as when we upload new videos so that you can become money wise. So without taking much time, allow me to give the platform to our guest, Miss Kayla. Please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit more about you.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me here on your show today. I greatly appreciate it. So, as you can see on the screen, my name is Kayla Walter. I am a certified financial planner here in the United States of America. I live right in like the DC area. I know most people are pretty familiar with that, like right outside our nation's capital. And so, as I was telling Sheila before we logged on, I was introduced to the world of financial planning while I was in college because growing up, I had no idea what like financial planning was or like what financial literacy was, but I knew that I was going to major in finance because I had done accounting in high school and decided accounting was not the way for me. It was way too tedious. So I decided to look into finance, and as I was going through finance, had no idea what I was doing gonna do with that degree until I was approached by the director of our college at the time, and she was like, "Here, you can take these courses, and you'll be able to sit for this exam by the time you finish." And I did not even care about sitting for the exam. I was just like, "Lady, you picked all of my electives for me. I can go ahead and meet these requirements that I need to meet so that I can get my degree and get up out of here." And so that's really the reason why I even started taking the classes. But it was in the classes where I started learning about financial literacy and learning about what a financial advisor was, and being a financial planner, and how the richest of the rich people have these people in their lives to help execute the dreams and the things that they want to do for their children, and how they want to build their businesses, and how they end up with these massive amounts of money. I don't I don't even really recall even knowing what the stock market was before like getting into these classes. I had very little knowledge of it all. I just kind of thought I was going to go into like corporate finance, put together some spreadsheets, business budgets, all that stuff. But I really fell in love with the personal side of financial planning and how you can really have a direct impact on someone's life just through helping them structure and plan their money, now and going forward. And so that's why I stuck with it. It was more, I loved it. And then on the second hand, I was like super pissed off that my parents had no idea what this was. I was just like, I was so mad. I was like, so you mean to tell me there are people out here who do this for a living and that's why they're rich and y'all had no idea these people existed? And it wasn't their fault. It was just kind of, you don't know what you don't know. So I pretty much have made it my mission to learn as much as I can so that I can give back as much as I can to, the underserved and, like minority communities who don't have access to people like me who do what I do because, most advisors have minimums or something like that that most people don't meet. So I felt it would be a nice way to give back the knowledge so that we can stop the perpetual cycle of kind of maintaining, you know, people who cycle in poverty, or people who, just continue cycling like what we call middle class here in America. So that is why I've gotten into it, and I absolutely love it because money makes the world go round. You got to have money to do what you want to do, but money should not, run your life. And so that is why I love what I get to do every day so much.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And I love the fact that you love what you do, because it's the passion that really drives you to want to impact lives. And when you came to the truths about finances, I'm glad that you didn't stop there and say, okay, this is for me alone, I'm not going to share it out. You took a step further and said, okay, this is knowledge I didn't know about. Now I have known it. Let me go and share it out to other people so that we can just change the narrative. And I totally agree with you. There are a lot of people out here, they do not know anything about finances. All they know is if the person is employed, they get their paycheck, pay their bills, wait for
Mm-hmm.
the next paycheck. If
Yeah.
someone is in business, they wait to do a deal and then they make profits, then they eat the profit and maybe buy some more stock, then continue with the cycle. And they don't think about, can I become financially healthy so that at some point every day in my life, I don't allow money to run me. I actually control it so that I can have freedom to focus on other things. So we will actually talk about your favorite money quote towards the end. When you shared it with me, I was like, are we speaking from the same page? Because I had posted it, I think, 2 days ago, and I was like, wow, this one is something. So we'll talk about it later. To our audience, feel welcome. If you have any question, please feel free to start typing it right now in the comments chat. Let us know where you're watching us from, and then we'll be able to have a Q&A session towards the end of the show. So, Miss Kyla, you mentioned you didn't you said you did financial planning as well. As I checked about your biography. You are a certified financial planner. And somebody could be asking, what is financial planning and what is all this financial planning thing about?
Yeah, so I mean, if you ask different people, you might get a lot of different answers from people who are not in the industry. But according to our CFP board here in the US, it's basically, looking at a client's entire financial picture and advising them on the best way to achieve their short and their long-term growth. Their long-term goals. So whether that is saving for education for their children, focusing on saving for retirement, or buying a boat. It's just essentially looking at your picture and helping you effectively manage the assets that you have now and how you want them to look like going into the future.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And as you said, different people have different definition, but it leads to the same end goal, or it has the same objective. And this gets me thinking, if I want to start financial planning, maybe for myself, for my business, or as an amateur, because I know there are people who they have never stepped in a financial class. They've never heard about financial planning. All they know is to count money, pay their bills, maybe do some one, two, three here, and that's it. So, what's the financial planning process?
Yeah, so the financial planning process, as it's determined here in the United States, and this is also something we are tested on for our CFP exam. So basically, we start out, we meet, we kind of discuss, where you are, kind of what you want, and determine if it's a good fit to work together. Because most people think like, oh, if I talk to a person, I have to work with them. No, you don't. The same intuition you use when you determine who you let into your inner circle, who you let to be your friend. Like if you meet with an advisor and you guys don't jive, then you don't have to work with that person. But don't count everybody out. Just go find somebody else that you can get along with, that you feel like you trust, to have this conversation with. Because the truth is, this person, this financial planner that you want to bring into your life, you're going to have to disclose a lot of information to them. So you want to make sure that you absolutely trust them. So first off the bat, you meet, we determine if it's a good fit or not. If it's a good fit, then we move forward, and the financial planner will ask, I need you to provide me, all of this information. That's where we collect qualitative and quantitative data. So qualitative data is stuff that's like what your health is like, what your life expectancy is like, what are your goals, your risk tolerance, all that stuff like that. And then quantitative data, where we're talking more number stuff. So what's your income? What are your expenses? What's your cash flow like? What are your savings like? And all that good stuff. And so then from there, after we gather the data, we're going to talk about goals. So like, what are your goals? What do you want to do now? What goals do you have in the future? And then prioritizing them from most important to least important. So maybe for a lot of millennials, it might look like being debt free. For people who are mid-career, it's like, I'm just trying to, retire or save for education, whatever your goals are, that's what we'll focus on. And then we take all of the information that is provided, that we've asked for. Granted, the information has been provided, all of the statements and um, like employee books, whatever, everything that we need to come up with a comprehensive recommendation. We take all of that, we'll analyze it, develop a best course of action, um, come up with a few recommendations based on what we've noticed, what you currently came in with, what you were, what your current plan was, and then seeing how we can either amplify or like add to that plan so that you maximize, so that you actually do hit your goal, or coming up with a recommendation that we believe is much better for what you say you actually want to do. So give you the recommendations. If the client likes the recommendations, we'll go ahead and begin to implement them. And what implementing pretty much looks like is here in this phase is where we determine the duties of the planner versus the duties of the client. So we've collected everything, we've come up with recommendations, do this, that, and the third. Now we have to establish who is doing what. So from the planner perspective, it might be like, all right, we're going to open this account, we're going to transfer over this money, we're going to um, put you in touch with an insurance agent so that you can get life insurance, make sure you're covered, or give you a recommendation to meet with a tax planner so you can get your taxes together so we can maximize your tax situation, or meet with an estate planning attorney to make sure that your end of life stuff is taken care of. So all of that good stuff, that might be the duty of the financial planner, is getting you these recommendations to people and doing all of the stuff to get the plan actually set up. Whereas the duties of the client would be, here is my statements I need to get to you, or setting up a time so that we can do a three-way call to call their current employee benefit, like employee current employee retired, like, or an old employer plan sponsor, to get money transferred over, and stuff like that. Really just providing us with the information and making the connection so that we can do the things that we set out to do. And then from there, you just pretty much monitoring the plan um,
Yes.
every day, kind of looking at it and making sure that the plan is actually doing what the client intended, like what the intention was from working together. So if the plan just starts to go awry, or life circumstances, world circumstances start affecting what's going on, it's like, okay, based on this, maybe we should kind of choose a different course of action, or maybe tweak something a little bit, something like that. So that's essentially what the entire process looks like. And it, of course, it's on an ongoing basis. It's not one of those like you set up a plan and you just like set it and forget it. Like, no, you continue working with this person year after year, as
Mhm.
long as the communication and the connection is still good, and they walk right alongside you as the client in helping you achieve those goals that you set out for yourself.
Absolutely. As you were just saying, I always believe there's this famous quote: failure to plan is planning to fail. And people don't look at that quote in terms of planning for their finances. They
Mhm.
just think it's a quote for every other thing, about your health, about your other areas of life. But when it comes to money, no one wants to think about it in such a way. And when you come to think of it, that's why we do have financial planning as a very important aspect in managing finances. Now, you mentioned that you always recommend to clients, what's needed, what they need to do. So for a financial plan, what are the components that need to appear in any financial plan or for a financial plan?
So the components of a financial plan, basically, it's going to cover your tax situation. It's going to cover investments. It's going to cover risk and insurance. So like what your risk tolerance is and how much, risk you want to take on by putting your money in the market or putting your money into some other type of investment. Insurance to make sure that your family's covered or anybody that's dependent on you is covered just in case something happens to you.
I'm
Um,
sorry to our audience, we lost our guest. Can you hear me, Miss Kayla?
yeah, I can hear you. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. We lost you when you were talking about the components of a financial plan.
Oh, okay. Nothing changed on my screen. So what's the last thing you heard?
Oh, you cannot see me on your side?
Oh, I can see you. I said nothing happened on my screen, so I didn't know that
No.
you lost me.
I'm really sorry. Just repeat from the components of a financial plan.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we go over your tax situation and kind of look and see what's the best way to be tax efficient. We look at your investments and seeing if your investments are properly structured for you and for what you accomplish. Would also include like your risk, like how much risk you're willing to take on to accomplish whatever your goal is. Looking also at insurance to make sure that just in case something happens to you, the people who are dependent on you are fully taken care of. And also looking at planning for retirement to making sure that when you are no longer in your working years or when you stop working, you still have a source of income like funds to rely on that are going to get you until death, which of course is inevitable. And then also looking at estate planning. So when you pass away, when you die, what do you want have happen, like what do you want to have happen to you, and then what do you want to have happen to the assets that you've accumulated over your lifetime. And then also cash flow planning, which includes just your everyday expenditures, not necessarily putting anybody on a budget or anything, but coming up with a system or a source of monitoring what's going on, because there's no way you're going to achieve your long-term goals if you just out here kind of spending all willy-nilly. You got to have some source of like a management system on how you live your day to day, because it's those small habits that you do day to day that make the biggest impact and have the biggest outcome, like the biggest impact on what the outcome is. And so monitoring, not micromanaging, but kind of monitoring what you're doing day to day in your life, what's going on here, to make sure it's not completely affecting what you want to happen in the future. And that also includes like planning for education, and if you want to buy a house, or if you're family planning because you want to have children or more children, stuff like that. So that's pretty much the components of a true full financial plan.
Oh, nice. That is very profound and very detailed, because you need to know the components of a financial plan so that when you are approaching a financial planner, you at least know what to expect. And, of course, everyone has their own style of, doing things or delivering their services, but these are the key components that should cut across every financial plan. So with that said, someone out there is watching us and he or she is feeling like, wow, now I know what a financial plan is. I know what are the steps in the financial planning process whenever I approach a financial planner, and I know the components that I need to see in my financial plan. So maybe you could just highlight, how does one make a good financial plan? Because many people, they will tell you, I have a plan for my finances, and this plan, they've been having it for 10 years and it's not giving them positive results. So I think it's good that we highlight, how does one make an effective financial plan that can help them achieve their financial goals.
Yeah. So the first and easiest, most almost kind of bulletproof way to do it is just to go hire a financial planner. However, if you want to DIY it, you can take all of the components that I just listed and you can get all of your stuff together, your employee benefits package, get all your pay stubs, you know, write out your goals, prioritize them. Um, you know, you can go and do all of your own research on the investments that are out there. You can look up individual stocks, you can look up ETFs, you can look up bonds, you can go deep dive into insurance and learn all the differences and figure it out. You can spend hours upon hours of digging into that stuff and coming up with a solution that you feel works best for you. However, the only problem with that is you can educate yourself as much as you want to, but you still don't know what you don't know. So, I mean, if you don't know what you're researching, you don't know what you're looking for exactly. So, how can you properly put that into your plan? And I mean, some people, you know, do well and just want to kind of also include that even with the all of the components that I just listed, every client that we work with, that financial planners work with, don't always 100% work with them in each capacity. So even if you feel like, you know, you have your own tax person and you like that person, you know, that's fine. You don't have to work in that area. You can kind of pick and choose the scope of what your engagement will be with that person. So if you're coming to that person strictly for investments and for investment advice, you know, you can work with them in just strictly that capacity if you feel like you have all of your other bases, you know, covered. But those are the components of a full financial plan. But kind of back to what I was saying about putting it together, you know, you can go and gather all the information, you can prioritize your goals, you can start doing all of your research and putting it together. But I, I just don't 100% believe it'll be 100% as effective as going to somebody who kind of that's their jam and they know kind of like what's going on. They have, you know, their ear to the ground on what's happening and can give you the best advice on like what you need to be doing like right then and there instead of you spending all of your time trying to deep dive into something just to maybe save a couple of bucks. Because the truth is, most financial planners have access to resources that everyday people don't have access to. And that's not saying in terms of information, like they have, you know, information about what's going on Wall Street, but that's just saying to different systems and softwares that can spit out numbers a lot faster than you if you are just sitting around with your basic calculator, you know, and trying to figure stuff out. You're probably going to drive yourself crazy. This is why most people don't, you know, they aren't successful with their finances in the first place because when you put all that stuff together and you're trying to figure it out, it is so easy to get overwhelmed and get bogged down into all of the details of, well, what am I supposed to do with this plan? And how do I know, like, what does this mean? And stuff. But yeah, you can take all the components, you can put it all together, you can do all your research, and you can come up with a plan, or you can just save yourself a lot of headache, a lot of time, probably a lot of money as well, and just go to somebody and have a conversation.
I totally agree with you. And you just actually mentioned the pros of having a financial planner in your life. You know, one thing, it saves your time. It offloads the possibility of being overwhelmed with money, because money is a tool that can help or hurt you. So when you are overwhelmed, chances are high you will make decisions that are not uh, good, because you have all these things flowing up and down. You want to do these calculations, you're trying to see where to invest your money, you're trying to check which market. And I think, um, due to people wanting to do financial planning for themselves without any knowledge, they fall in the hands of scammers, especially when it comes to investing,
Mhm.
because you want to do everything, you are overwhelmed. The next thing you do is just come across an advert, and there you are, falling for it right away. You don't have time to research about it. You don't have, you're not able to pick the red flags that are already reflecting about that company. So it's very important to always consider having a financial planner, not just to save your time, but also to save your money
Right.
in the long run, actually. So, to our audience, if you have any question, feel free to write it to us. We are discussing on how to create a good financial plan that can help you achieve your goals for the rest of the year. We are in the middle of the year, and maybe the first half of the year didn't work for you, or maybe you tried to do a financial plan by yourself and you didn't achieve anything. So this is the time you can post your questions. If you have any questions regarding financial planning, not just for personal finances, even for your business, feel free to share in the comments. So, Miss Kayla, as we try to wind up, what's the importance of financial planning? This is in terms of as an individual or even as a business. What are the importance?
Yeah, so the importance is exactly the quote that you had said earlier. Most people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. Anything that you don't track, it won't grow. So if you are
Mm,
just kind of living and going through the motions and being haphazard with, your life, you will never get out of that same circle. You cannot expect a different result by continuing to do the same exact thing. I believe Einstein said that's like the definition of insanity is trying to get is trying to get a different result doing the exact same thing. The importance of financial planning, it's because as I said earlier, money makes the world go round. Like you need money for everything that you want to do in life. Money will literally touch every single area of your life. This is the one profession that is literally going to like your relationship with this person and this person's knowledge and effectiveness on what they're doing and in helping you, it is going to shape how you live your life greatly because with their knowledge and with their expertise as a financial planner, you can probably do more, have more, save more, like in every capacity than what you would be able to do on your own. um, and I'm just a firm believer that money is not, it's not a miracle. It's not, something that you can just sit here and just hope and wish like, oh, I'm going to win the lottery one day, or I'm going to have a rich uncle that's going to die and leave me this super awesome huge inheritance. Like,
mm, mm,
you can wish these things on your life. I mean, everybody can. But the statistics are, and if you look at them, even the people who win the lottery, you look at them 5 years later, they got all this money, and 5 years later, they're worse off
mm,
than before. You look at sports players who they play sports, they get all this money, they make more money in a couple of years than people will ever see in their lifetime,
mm,
and they get out of the league and they end up worse off than they were before. So, money is not always the answer to your problems. It's how you manage what you have so that it can grow and get bigger and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in life. Like, money should absolutely not run your life. And that's how a lot of people live. They live chasing the almighty dollar. They live, whatever currency you may have in your country. People always are living in chasing currency. They're just chasing money and just chasing money. And it just always seems you'd never have enough. It's always just too short. It's always too far. But I just firmly believe that we should not live our lives chasing money. We should live our lives like we shouldn't live our lives around money. Money should work around what we want to do. And so basically what that looks like is the choices that you make when you look at your life, it's a series of choices, like a series of choices that you made. And you should be able to look and be like, okay, I want to go here on vacation, or I'm feeling overwhelmed. Let me do something nice for myself. And then, be able to look at your bank account and be like, cool, I got it. Rather than, man, I really need a vacation, but I don't have the money for that right now. Or, something like that. So just kind of flipping the way we think about things. Most people base decisions based on how much money they have in their account. I firmly believe we should make decisions based on how we want to live our life, and money will eventually line up with that. So
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Actually, what I always say, sometimes you don't need more money. You basically need a financial plan to
yeah, you need
first of
discipline.
all manage what you have. And you know, many people will always tell you, if I only get XYZ dollars more, if I
Hmm.
only get a pay rise, if I only get someone to boost me, then you ask them, what are you doing with what you are getting currently? And they cannot account for it. So clearly, the person, even before getting more money, they need a mindset transformation, and they need to, learn how to manage what they currently have before they can get more. And as well, you mentioned something very important. We shouldn't leave this rat race kind of thing. You're chasing money and it's not enough. It's like, the more you run after it, the more it runs away. That clearly
Hmm.
tells you there is more to just chasing after money. There is another dynamic that you need to understand, which definitely it's planning about it. So let's talk about the favorite quote you shared with me, that money is a tool. It can take you wherever you wish, but it cannot replace you as a driver. What are your thoughts about that quote, and why is it your favorite quote?
It's my favorite quote because growing up, like I said, I was not in the affluent circles. Like my family didn't grow up that way. Never knew. We were just regular middle class citizens. Both my parents had jobs. Me and my brother, we went to public school. That was what was available to us. We didn't have like private schools around. We went to public school. So I think it was, and to be frank, this is something that I've more recently, within like the past 2 years, have had to wrap my mind around, is like having a money mindset. And most people don't think about how your mindset greatly affects how you see money, and how you saw money being handled growing up greatly affects how you live your life today as a working adult. And once I feel like once people understand that, like I said, money is not a miracle. It
Mm-hmm,
is a result of your actions. So once
mm-hmm,
people understand that your actions and your mindset greatly affect, the result, which is money, that's when you can really start putting these pieces together. So if you spend all of your days thinking, and living in scarcity and not having enough and having, a poverty mindset, everything around you will remain in poverty. But if you
mm-hmm,
could go talk to any millionaire, any billionaire, any person with, millions of dollars, like hand over fist, they will all tell you that, you know, they became a millionaire here first before they became a millionaire, like in their pockets. So
mm-hmm,
money, it's only a tool. It's only a tool that you can use to make yourself better, to increase your financial acumen, to, expand your mind into greater possibilities, into higher dimensions of divine living that you want to live in. It can assist you in getting things done a lot quicker, moving your life along a lot faster and at the pace that you want it to. However, it's not a miracle. Like, it's not gonna come into your life and now your whole life situation is gonna change. We see this time and time again, like I said, with people who win lottery, with all of these people who get into the league for sports and they get all this money. Their life may
mm-hmm,
change temporarily, but
mm-hmm,
as you can see, the people who don't handle their money, appropriately during that time of plenty, they come out, a lot worse. So it's literally managing what you have, learning how to wrap your mind around, this is what I have. How can I be a good steward over this right now so that when I do get more, I'm not going to squander it all away? So that's really kind of what that quote absolutely means to me, and just like, helping people reframe the thought that if I just had this, if I just had more. It's not if I just had more. It's if I just learn to do better with what I have, then
mm-hmm.
I will be able to get more. And when I get more, I won't be afraid of losing more. So yeah.
Wow, I really like the point that you said. Money is not a miracle. It's a result of the actions you take. That's a cliche for me. So what's your parting shot as you wind up the session tonight? What did you want the audience to remember you for? Maybe a money principle or anything?
um, just I guess remember me as the person who my big goal, like my ultimate goal, and I really haven't shared like my ultimate vision with a lot of people in a lot of different circles because even for me, I'm just now getting comfortable in my mind with hearing myself say this out loud. But my big goal is that for people, when it comes to their money, that everything they need, I can be able to assist them in getting that. So I believe everybody should have access to a financial planner. They should be able to talk to somebody about their money. I believe should be like a universal thing. Like people should be able, you should be able to have somebody to go to talk about your money without feeling like, oh, I don't make enough, I don't have enough to even have a conversation with this person. You know, they're just people. You know, you can
Yeah.
have a conversation with people and they can listen, and if they want to offer advice, they'll offer advice. If they want to tell you, next steps to move forward, you'll move forward. But really, I just believe everybody should have access to financial planning. And my big goal in life is to make sure that everybody has that access to build their entire financial picture. So when it comes to having these conversations about the rich getting rich and the poor getting poor, or the middle class getting smaller, and the gap, like the wealth gap growing bigger and bigger, these conversations will eventually can die out because now everybody's at the top. All it takes is just a little piece of information that can change your life, and being open and receptive to that information so that instead of being the person that's a complainer, you are the person that's a doer. And you don't stay in the same situation that you want to get out of. Like you are conscious enough to know what you want. And when the opportunity presents itself, you act on that opportunity to move you to the heights and into the dimensions that you want to move into. So that's kind of that's my little spiel.
Thank you very much, Miss Kyla. It is indeed a powerful session, and thank you so much for sharing with us your wisdom. I have learned a lot, as well as I believe our audience has learned quite a lot of things they need to know about financial planning, as well as what they need to be doing so that they don't think money is a miracle. It's actually a result of the action you've done. So if you wanna reach out to Miss Kayla, you can find her on Instagram with the same names, and yeah, and maybe any other channel that you want people to reach out to you.
Instagram is fine. It's at Kayla M Walter #1. So that's KaylaMWalter, the #1 on Instagram, and you can send me a message on there. I think there should also be somewhere in my bio where you can hop on my email list. I spend a lot more time there than I actually do on social media. So you can also get on my email list, and you'll get regular communications from me about what's going on. And that's really where I share a lot more information than I actually do like out front on social media, just because of the situation here in the US with regulations and stuff. It's just a lot easier to kind of not be public. So, yeah.
Sure, thank you so much, Kayla. We really appreciate your time. To our audience, thank you so much as we wind up this session tonight. We encourage you to keep subscribing, invite as many people as possible to watch this live video. I have personally learned a lot, and I believe it's going to impact your um, financial management methods or ideas, as well as you are going to become more financially healthy, especially in such a time as this. Until then, we'll see you next Wednesday. Keep safe and stay financially healthy. Bye.
Bye.